So Izzy, it was a nice couple of weeks, maybe a week, where we were hearing LeBron's going to take less so they can have that full mid-level and all the trappings under the aprons and everything, and the Lakers are going to be able to do big moves, go get big names, and then everybody signed somewhere else within the first 48 hours.
Was that just for Klay Thompson, supposedly? Or was that for anybody? Because he obviously went ahead and took the extension, which is the news you're talking about, without taking a discount a day or two after Klay Thompson commits to the Mavs.
Klay Thompson was one of the names. Jonas Valanciunas was one of the names. And I think the third name was DeMar DeRozan, who's still available, but I guess LeBron said, nah, never mind.
What did you guys think of Michael Thompson going on with Frank Isola and saying, hey, don't congratulate me. I wanted Klay to be a Laker.
Oh, no, that's the most authentic Michael Thompson. That's how he is. He's always super blunt about things like that, and specifically wanting Klay to be a Laker. Like, as long as he's a Warrior, he's like, this is great, but he's like, I hope when he's done playing for the Warriors, he plays for the Lakers. He's said that for years.
I feel like I'd be like, Dad, come on, please, don't do this.
Well, you think it's like a distraction? People in Dallas are going to be like, oh,
I'd just be like, can you support me like a little bit instead of coming out?
I'm going to tell you something. Michael Thompson is very much the immigrant father. It's like 100%. He still treats Klay like Klay's a kid, like his kid, like a child in his house. Klay, if you guys remember this, Izzy? His first couple of years, his salary went to his parents and they gave him allowance.
I did not actually know that.
Oh man, that was one of my favorite Klay stories. Like
at what age?
Like his rookie year at least.
Yeah, and he spent 3 years in school? Right?
Yeah.
So he was 21.
He was 21, but he was getting allowance.
He is he's the most unique NBA personality outside of like the Dennis Rodmans, just kind of like within a couple of lanes, I think, that I've ever experienced. But it's interesting to me that LeBron, because it was 2010 was the last time he took a discount, right? He said when he left, he's going to take the max forever. He's never taken a discount again. And he was going to do this just for a maybe of a Klay. None of those names that you said, oh, that's going to push them over the top for a championship. So it would have been it was an interesting conversation when I saw it.
For LeBron, I guess he felt like those were names that were worth taking the discount for. The discount is a little different. Back in 2010, it was just so they could have enough money to pay, I believe, Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem. Which, again, I could see why he was like, I'm never doing this again.
Right. That was Dwayne Wade supposedly convincing them all to do that.
This is different, right? This wasn't about having enough money to pay someone. It's about the Lakers being at a payroll where things are not taken away from them, because now the new collective bargaining agreement, the higher you go with your payroll, you begin to lose the ability to do certain things like engaging in any sort of sign and trade. And if you keep going and going, you go to where the Clippers were headed, which is draft picks are frozen. You saw the Knicks having issues, or still having kind of a question mark how that Mikal Bridges deal is going to ultimately get done, because if they accept more money than they put out, then they're going to be hard capped at the first apron. So there's all these things now. It's less about players, hey, leave a little money so that we can pay so-and-so, or so that the franchise isn't paying a crazy luxury tax, and more about, hey, do you want better players? The only way we can acquire them is if we have these tools available.
So this has always sort of bugged me a little bit with LeBron, especially on the back end of his career, where we are now. The idea of, if you're going to even suggest I'll take a small discount, why not go all in? And I understand, like, financially, it doesn't make any sense to give up millions, and anybody will tell you it's an idiotic decision. But are you not making more on the back end if you do create a super team, get all this attention again, win another championship, and then, after that, you can probably quantify it different ways, but making that money back. Why not just take a full discount, make a $5 million a year type of deal?
I think for players, because the idea is that your window of earning is so finite, and I know LeBron kind of flies in the face of that.
Exactly.
But for everybody else, it's like, dude, I have this much time to make as much money as possible for the rest of my life, my children's lives, and hopefully my children's lives.
But I'm talking about this one guy.
This one guy, maybe. But also he feels like he sets a standard, I think.
Is it kind of like when Tom Brady was like, oh, what if you just give Tom Brady like $1.2 million or like whatever the league minimum is? But doesn't that mess up with the CBA?
The Players Association doesn't like it for sure. They're like, your
best player's taking nothing.
Yeah, but it's different in basketball, because in football, if the best quarterback in the league signs at a number, that's the standard, right? Whereas in basketball, we have an actual maximum salary. So just because LeBron takes less than max doesn't mean anyone else has the negotiation privilege to say, okay,
LeBron sort of set his own precedent in so many different things, right? The homegrown guy, he just won his championships elsewhere and came back and now doing it with a third team, right? Nobody ever did that. Nobody did like the big three thing the way he did it in particular. Nobody did hey, I'm now playing with my son. Nobody's manipulated the NBA for his benefit more than anybody than LeBron James. And so you are the unique one. You are the one whose earning potential is never going to end. It's not going to end after your playing career is over. You're the only one who's in that conversation with Michael Jordan, where another championship might do it for you. Another two, if you're really good with this, might absolutely do it for you. You are the only, like maybe Victor Wembanyama in 15 years might be able to pull off something like this and justify it, but LeBron would be the only person where even if I'm the Players Association, I'm just like, you know what? That's a good move. I'm not mad at that.
Technically, Tim Duncan did it in San Antonio. Dirk did it in Dallas. Kevin Garnett did it in Boston. But those were all, well, I guess he's old too. They were all in this stage. So I don't know. And also, I think that was more about keeping their own guys and getting fresh guys, which is what LeBron was trying to do. One of the guys that has been linked, obviously, is DeMar DeRozan, who is an L.A. native. But DeMar DeRozan has other ties. Chris, do you want to bring us up to date?
Barry Jackson in these streets saying the Heat are interested and that DeMar has interest.
I mean, it's a nice fit, man. Again, what we talked about yesterday was the idea that Miami, for whatever they've achieved over the last few years, the one constant is they've been awful offensively. In the half court, awful offensively overall. They just don't generate points easily because they don't have a guy that, if you guys remember 2 years ago when I said Boston is clearly more talented than Miami. Miami just has to win by execution. And Will Manso and the rest of the rabble-rousers on the internet said, what? How can you say they're more talented? I said, dude, because they can run their plays, mess up their plays, and still have a guy say, I got it. And you can't. Miami does not have that. And so DeMar DeRozan kind of provides something like that, no?
He also plays.
Got it. Is that interesting? Is that important?
I'm saying, like, Jimmy misses games. DeMar, I believe, played like 70-something games last year. I think that those two things, like a bucket getter and just being there, I think it's a perfect fit.
Don't you think they fill kind of the same role, Jimmy and DeMar, when they're kind of on the floor at the same time? You don't want a guy who is going to be a lead scorer for you, also do the exact same things that your other lead scorer does?
So a couple things on that front to me. And it's funny because I'm making this comparison to like a Tyler Hero. Because when Tyler lines up against somebody, you're like, man, I hope this works out. When DeMar does it, I just look at the defender because that defender's in hell. It is so difficult to defend that guy in the mid-range. It is way different than a defender looks at Jimmy Butler, maybe not Drew Holiday. Jimmy Butler, when he's lining you up, he's like, oh, if I play good defense, I'm probably going to stop this guy. Maybe he'll get a phantom call. DeMar is so skilled in the individual, in the one-on-one, in the mid-range, at drawing fouls. He's the type of guy that puts 10 eyes on the ball at all times, and then if he makes the right pass. I actually think, and this is not just because he shot 41% from three last year, Jimmy Butler, I think you can give him more responsibilities in the half court, DeMar DeRozan, and let Jimmy play off the ball. Because, there's a lot of people saying they're kind of very similar, yada, yada, like Tony just said. But I do believe that if you give DeMar the responsibilities on the Heat in the half court set, way more potential for success per play than with Jimmy.
I think I agree. And by the way, Jimmy, this is what Jimmy wants. He doesn't want to have the ball in his hand. He's even in the 60 some odd games that he plays. How many games do we see where it's like Jimmy's doing this thing to start the game, and it's like, oh, they're losing. Jimmy, you need to save. It's like, fine. And then he goes and he gets like 6 fouls in a row and gets to the free throw line and saves the day, or sometimes doesn't. And so, to me, if anything, he should welcome the lift of the burden off 100%. Of all that, by having someone who comes in there. And DeMar's like, he's not, sometimes you get a guy who does those things skill-wise and production-wise, but is kind of a son of a bitch in his attitude. DeMar's a nice guy, man. He's a great teammate. Everyone loves playing with him. Everyone respects
Drake
him.
thinks that.
Who?
Drake. Aren't
Drake?
they on the outs right now? I mean, he was at the Kendrick thing.
Hey, man, look, let me tell you something. That dude, you know where DeMar's from? He's from the thick of it.
L.A.
Not just L.A. He's like the thick of that stuff. Yeah, There's
Drake wasn't surprised to see him there.
no way. Look, if I was
Because
Drake,
the internet was like, oh, he's boys with Drake.
dude, if I was Drake, I would have picked up the phone like, yeah, you need to be at that concert, man. Like,
Westbrook was the one who was more surprising.
really?
I mean,
He's from the
DeMar
thick of it,
DeRozan
too.
is name checked in the song. Like, of course he had to be there. But Russell Westbrook,
I think, well, no, I think these guys are very LA guys, though. They're very LA guys, right? From quote unquote the thick of it.
I also don't see a lot of Westbrook Drake connection, right? I see the DeRozan connection, but the Westbrook Drake one,
I just see
don't know.
Westbrook Taylor Swift connections really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, this is when Taylor Swift comes out with a West Coast anthem, maybe Russ will be there to lead the charge as well.
Did you see KD with Drake in the picture with the hookah?
No, but like that could have been from anywhere at any time.
I think it's very
KD,
current.
Drake
There it
with
is
a
right
hookah.
there.
I'm glad you asked this question because I follow Drake. I follow all these guys, celebrities on Instagram. And I go to the comments on Drake's posts a lot because I'm just like, wow, the haters must be going crazy. They filter. There's only certain comments that are allowed. So when you go on Drake's comments, it's just a bunch of slurping and glazing. Like, it's absolutely nothing but positive comments. And I'm just like, wouldn't somebody give him for that? Like, why are you so thin-skinned that you don't even just allow the comments to be open?
Well, when you have the wherewithal to have someone whose job it is to curate the comment section, like they just sit there all day long. Oh, new comment. Oh, nope, that's got to be going.
Like, I go to Dwayne Wade's posts whenever he posts something with his daughter, and it's just living hell in the comments. What? He needs that filter. He needs Drake's person to come change his comments. Drake needs to just go ahead and deal with the hatred.
Can we get that filter too?
does
I don't
it extend to Reddit?
Do you guys do this? I don't really look at comments a lot of things. I'm not a big comment looker.
Other people's comments?
Yeah.
No, you know what?
Some of the funniest things. you see in
Exactly.
comments.
This is my algorithm. God bless it. It knows what I'm here for. And as soon as I get into videos of things that I don't follow, it's literally just like someone at their most vulnerable, and then the comment section pops up.
Somebody I saw recently who was doing the Dougie, but doing horribly, speaking of wedding dances, and it was just really stiff, and the guy in the comments said, this person said, instruct me how to Douglas. And I just was laughing for half an hour.
Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day.
Stat of the day is presented by Miller Lite.
Wow.
Nailed it.
According to Elias Sports Bureau, Wyatt Langford is the first rookie in MLB history to record a cycle, grand slam, and inside the park home run in a season.
Wow, give me those again. He did.
A cycle, grand slam, and inside the park home run
That
in a
is
season.
tough.
It's got wheels.
Who does he play for?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee?
Cleveland. Milwaukee.
The Tampa Bay Rays.
Rangers.
Oh, close.
There you go, Billy.
Close.
Good job, guys.
I was
And
in the
that's
ballpark.
baseball talk. And stat of the day. Inside the ballpark home run.
He gets it.
Brought to you by Miller Lite.
Yes.
Presented.
Great taste, less filling. It's Miller time. Do you think brands don't like it if you use old slogans? Like, is there a problem? Like
It's Miller time is still.
It's
their
always
slogan.
Miller
It's
time,
always
baby.
Miller time,
It's always
okay.
Miller time.
All right.
Especially on July 4th.
Good to know.
Always has been.
4th of July.
Is it 4th of July or July 4th?
The 4th.
It's both.
4th of
Do you
July.
guys do anything for 4th of July? Like with your families? Do you go somewhere for fireworks with your kids?
Little
or like
staycation, Fort Lauderdale Beach for me.
I
okay.
got to tell you, just
not into it?
they done grew out of it. Like, it's like, okay, we get it. It's fireworks.
It's always been a sort of a background holiday for me. I think I'll go to like the Cody family celebration on the beach more than my family will do anything. I am actually going to Orlando with my family this time, but it just happens to be around.
Background
weird.
holiday.
It's weird that you just said I don't usually hang out with my family when you're going to hang out with your family.
the first time in probably 10 years I've hung out with them on the 4th of
Izzy,
July.
July 4th is the greatest holiday on our calendar.
What?
Bar none, easily.
Okay, so
Easily.
now this I would think that you could
Number 2
relate
is
to this.
Christmas.
Here, in July in South Florida is the worst possible time to be here. And so
it's not
every
that bad.
time,
Like everyone freaks out about this heat. All right,
it's not just
that
the
bad.
heat,
Jump
but
in
the
the pool.
weather. You can't predict it. It could be raining during the fireworks. It could be raining all day, or it's just going to be steaming hot. I'd rather just be out of town doing something random.
That's life. Sometimes it's going to rain. Sometimes you're not going to be able to see the fireworks. But you know what? America is always ready for you.
I do love the 4th of July, but I am kind of just like neutral on fireworks. I don't think of them positively. I don't dislike
A
them.
lot of
I am
places-
just like a flat
A lot
line
of
when it
places
comes
are doing the drone show now, Chris.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the drone show?
Look, I've never seen one in person, but I've seen the videos, and they remind me of Spider-Man Far From Home. And I'm like, you know what? This is pretty cool that we're in the future. We could do things like that with drones.
So we found out the other day that there's a drone show in Miami, and we were like, oh, that'll be good. It won't freak out our dog. And
Is it this show?
No. And then we realized that our dog is actually afraid of drones because one time my boyfriend's dad flew a drone near my dog and she lost her f***ing mind. She went crazy. So we're definitely going to be hunkering down
Okay,
tomorrow.
let's play this out. Let's talk the biggest payoffs for holidays. Okay, Christmas by far the biggest payoff for me. Right, I'm
payoff-
getting actual gifts, things that I like. I enjoy getting
Sure,
gifts.
but payoff versus the
Payout.
stress, exactly. The stress of, oh, we have to get another gift here and we're late and we got to do something else. You got to plan for 17 people.
I gotta be to this
is
house
that
at 2
the
p.m. and then
holiday
this house.
itself, or is that preparing for the holiday? 'Cause
It's
I don't
all
like
it's all
buying
encompassing.
fireworks.
It's all encompassing.
Hold on.
Okay.
You guys are more gift receivers than gift givers?
No, I'm a gift giver. I was just doing that for the show. But of
course.
Payoff wise, I love it more than any other holiday. Okay, probably second place to me, Thanksgiving.
Love Thanksgiving.
Love the food.
I'd put
Love
Thanksgiving
food.
second too.
Third place.
You don't go to two houses, do you?
Probably Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
For payoffs.
Chris, you're doing
What?
in-laws and your parents for every holiday.
Well, the major like eating one, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, have lessened for me as I've like gotten the family thing going because it's just like we got to go here and then we got to go here and it's just 4th of
places.
July is
Daddy's
like
got to drive.
4th of July. It's like we're all going to the beach and let's get drunk.
Oh God, nothing
and,
like it.
And on that note, I want to cycle back to Izzy having Valentine's Day in his top 3.
that was a stretch.
Suckers
He's
holiday.
saying
Super
good payoff.
stretch.
I
It's
get
all
what
about
he's-
the payoff.
I get what he's
No payoff.
saying.
Hell
It's
yeah.
like these people don't like chocolate. I think, and I'd probably put birthday after that, even though
It's
that's
not
not
a
really
holiday.
It's not a
Everybody
holiday.
does it.
Everybody
personal
has one. It's a
holiday.
personal holiday. But yeah, I don't just think I just don't think the payoff of the fireworks is enough. And
But
I
it's
feel
not
like
about the
you get-
fireworks.
You
I
get
think you're stuck
fireworks
on
on
the
other
fireworks,
holidays
dude.
too.
Get over the fireworks.
The
So
fireworks
what
isn't
is
it?
it?
It's about
Beach
a beach
day?
day with
The
friends.
beach.
I could do a
It's
beach
about
any
the
day.
grill,
The
man.
pool.
Grill.
It's all about the
Exactly,
grill.
the grill, the Miller
Non-meat
Lite.
eaters,
A cold
not
Miller
really
Lite
my
in your
thing.
hand.
Exactly
Yeah.
right.
The
What do
clothes.
vegans grill
Great
normally?
taste, less filling, 96
Whatever they grill. I
calories.
don't know,
Ask
watermelon
Joey
or whatever.
It's us.
I want a Miller Lite right now just thinking about that.
Oh, I'm
Exactly.
gonna get
You
the
want me to
one
get
right
you
now.
one? I'll
That's one of
get
the
you
friends.
one. Let's
Go
go.
get a Miller Lite.
When you're out on the boat and you got the Miller Lite with the little sweat dripping down the can.
Yo, Tony, fist me, Tony.
Come on now,
Izzy,
dude.
you're a boat guy. I'm shocked that you're not
No.
like.
I'm gonna go get him.
Although-
I can go on the boat on the 1st of July, the 2nd of July, the 3rd of July.
That's
Yeah, but
true.
nothing's like the 4th though.
But the
That's
4th is
point.
when all the apples are out, so I don't blame you
It's
for
Miami are out all the time.
Good point. Touche.
not. In more ways than one.
What? Oh.
Anal bleaching. But yeah, I think my excitement for 4th of July directly correlates to my access to a grill. And since I moved to Miami, I've had almost no access to a grill, so I've just not had the best 4th of July.
Don't they have grills here at the house? Let's grill. Let's go up to the deck and grill right now.
Come on, throw
Get
a
the
couple
Miller Lights.
dogs.
We ran out.
Oh, we ran out.
Yeah, can I tell you guys an idea for a bit that I had that I discussed this with Lewis? Well, we can talk about this on air because none of the main participants are going to be here.
Okay, good.
So here's my idea, and tell me guys what you think about this. Because sometimes I just have ideas,
Yeah.
right? So it's for Greg Cody on a Tuesday.
I love it already.
And what I was thinking is, because Miller Lite's a sponsor, he's a Miller Lite man. I was thinking of bringing one of those little personal coolers and having it here under my desk. And I was going to have it filled with ice cold Miller Lights.
Yum.
And every time Greg made what I deemed a good point, I was going to reward him with a Miller Lite. I was gonna be like, Greg, you know what? Great point. Why don't you enjoy an ice cold Miller Lite? And then we do like the Miller Lite read and just keep giving him Miller Lights
But then-
throughout the show.
Do you have to drink them?
No,
Yeah,
no,
of course. He
course.
gets to drink them.
Gets
Have
to.
to. He gets to drink them.
No, but Billy, what you're supposed to do is when he makes a good point, you say, you know what, Greg, you hold up to the mic.
You earned this one. An ice cold one. Yeah.
You got it because that sound. And by the way,
Oh, it's the best sound.
The sound from a Miller Lite can.
Better
I
than
put it up
all.
against
It's
any
different.
other can.
It's a different sound.
It's like there's acoustic panels in the can somehow.
Also, oddly, I feel like it's easier to chug than any other beer.
Oh, it is.
It's just something about
Responsibly,
the
of course.
crispness.
Responsibly.
If Miller Lite,
Unless, if you make a good point.
if opening a Miller Lite were a holiday, where would that rank?
It'd be July 4th.
Yeah,
Come on,
baby.
what are we talking about?
V-Day, baby.
Every day feels like a holiday when I have a Miller Lite. I'll tell you that right now.
Miller Lite.
Well, I won't be watching fireworks tomorrow.
Can I tell you another idea that I had? You
Making
guys tell me what you
fireworks
think.
on
I have two
Valentine's
more
Day.
ideas to run past you guys.
Is this the one I'm thinking you're talking about?
This is wedding week.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
here's wedding week.
Week.
So we mentioned on the air that people sometimes, from time to time, will send us wedding invitations. And
Yes.
I have
Chris
a
Whittingham, by the
handful.
way, was welcoming that. I think that was where it all started.
Chris Weddingham?
Chris Whittingham.
Whittingham.
Yeah,
He was like, invite me to your weddings. I want to dance at a wedding.
yeah.
Well, we see now he dances at hockey games, so.
Instruct me out of Douglas.
So the idea for wedding week is I wanted to solicit wedding invitations, and then for a week I was going to find coordinated weddings that I could just travel the country showing up unannounced to people's weddings that they announced.
Like
or
John
that
Madden?
they invited us to. Yeah, like just have like a bus or whatever and take me to weddings across the country. I found one, and I hate to break the news to Mesa and Greg here. I'm not going to be able to attend your wedding in Portugal because it's the day before NFL kickoff, and I think I'm going to be at the game for that. I'm not sure yet.
But
That's
it is a
still being worked
Wednesday
out.
wedding, which
It is a
does
Wednesday
help.
wedding, which would have been great for wedding week. So if you're out there, you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday weddings. We would love if you could
Tuesday
coordinate
wedding.
it for a week so we can kind of just go on this wedding week situation. Send us your invites here over at the office. I don't know the address. You can figure it out. Google.com.
You know what's funny, Billy? I was just thinking, if you had a Tuesday wedding, would you have going up on a Tuesday on the band list or
Band
on the
list.
playlist?
Band list.
Band?
What?
It's on a Tuesday.
Who is this guy? This is not my
You
Israel
are
Gut-
not. Yeah.
Gutierrez. This is not him.
You're not a fun wedding person. That's what I'm finding out.
Is it a good dancing song?
Yeah,
Is it just
man.
everybody
doesn't
saying,
matter if
hey,
it's
it's
good or not.
Tuesday.
It's a great drunk song. Squad going up. Everyone see
That's for the after party. You gotta play.
The
You gotta
reception?
wait. Yeah.
That's
no,
it.
the after the reception.
after the reception.
Yeah.
That's
After
like
party is the after party.
Hey, so Prim Sirpapat and my buddy Ben, who I
Easy
call
for you
Ben
to say.
Sirpapat, when they got married, they had like a wedding and all the older people were there. And then at some point, the DJ started playing the explicit version. I was like, oh, and I realized, oh, it's just us. And then after that, we went to a club. And Gojo was with us till like 5 or 6 in the morning. He had 7 a.m. radio.
Was that with Stugotz on
Stugotz.
a Sunday?
He's a legend.
He missed the show because he was at a wedding. Was it that one?
Yes, that
That's
was the
one he
one.
no-showed?
Yes.
By the way, when we were talking about the hot dog eating contest, I think Gojo called one of the hot dog eating contests. I think he did a COVID year when there was no crowd, and
Yeah,
it was just
2020.
him and one other like
Yeah, I remember
broadcaster
that.
in like a closed building where they did the hot dog eating contest.
We were so desperate for sports because like most of the sports hadn't really restarted yet. I remember just being like, "Oh my God, there's an event today. I'm gonna watch this. I'm so excited for 4th of July."
That was back when we were clamoring for the Valero.
South Korean baseball.
Like 3 of you nodded. I don't think you guys even get that reference, do you?
Yeah. Claim for the Valero.
Just being a
Yeah,
good
of
teammate.
course.
Valero
I know what
open.
you're talking
The
about.
gas station.
Everybody knows.
The Valero.
We'll always have the Valero.
You want my other idea?
Yes, please.
Joe Trillionaire.
Oh, wait a second. Billy, we have a minute left in this segment. I don't think you can do Joe Trillionaire justice in 60 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, I
Never
think-
mind, then I won't tell you.
Well, I
It was
just
a
don't-
challenge, actually.
Okay, so let's say you're a person with a net worth of $100.5 billion.
Is the 0.5 important here?
Yes.
It's 500 million. Yes, it is.
Very important.
Because in this show, Joe Trillionaire, you get someone who has $100 billion and then 500 million, and you see if they're willing to gamble the $100 million on 10-to-1 odd to be the world's first trillionaire.
Explain the math because we're American.
60
Explain the math
seconds
for
really
me.
wasn't enough time. We and Amin had this conversation privately, and it had a bunch of different
There
like,
was a lot of
channels
stems.
that we could have gone
Lot
down.
of
And
stems.
then in 60 minutes, like 60 seconds, what are we supposed
You
to
know
do?
what we could do? Let's tease it for the
Let's
next
not.
segment.
This died
You
on the
don't-
vine.
What?
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
You
Joe
didn't like
Trillionaire's
That's a
dead.
great name,
Forget
though.
it, TV execs. It's not happening.
Well, if there's anything you've learned in this segment, just remember, America is always ready for you. Am I right, Tony?
Thank you.
We're joined now by Matt Barnes. He's a co-host of All the Smoke with Steven Jackson. He also is an NBA champion, a longtime NBA vet. And Matt, you are the father of twin boys who are pretty good basketball players. Saw them out in Section 7 out in Phoenix, putting up highlights. So I got to start here with the Bronny James news. His contract came out. It's 4 years guaranteed, $7.9 million. And I guess, how do you think Bronny is going to be received by opponents, first of all, in Summer League that starts in about a week?
It's going to be tough sledding for a while. But I think the overall situation is incredible. You know, as you mentioned, a father with sons, I would have given anything to be able to play on the same court in the NBA with my son. So I don't care what anyone says about how he got there and what's going on. I love the fact that he's there and he's getting an opportunity to play with his dad. But I think at this point now, it's on him. You know what I mean? He's got the contract, he's got the security, he's got some money to go with it. And now it's about him and his game and what can he do when he's out there to produce. But I know he's been working all summer with Chris Johnson, who's the same trainer that trains my twins. And I think if Bronny sticks to what he's been doing this summer, I think he's going to have an opportunity to continue to develop each year. And I'm, around year 3, year 4, I think he's going to be a very solid contributor to whether the Lakers or, wherever else he may be.
Matt, what is it with basketball playing twins these days? You got your twins, Eddie House's twins, Carlos Boozer's twins, the Thompson twins. I mean, what's going on?
We were all around the same time, drinking the same alcohol, smoking the same. Something must have happened.
All right.
All right, so, but Matt, but my question was, how do you think he's going to be received by opponents?
Yeah,
Because,
no, I think it's going to be tough sledding. I think obviously there's going to be fans that wrap their arms around him and embrace him. But we all know, being in this game, whether it be media or the actual sport, the hate is always louder than the love. So I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be taking shots and disrespecting him and his game and his family. And unfortunately, that comes with the territory these days. But I think he'll do a great job, as his dad does, of blocking this out and understanding, hey, I've got an amazing opportunity. My dad is the one that kind of put me in this position, but now it's on me to improve. And I think he has the work ethic of his father and obviously a high IQ. So it's going to be tough for a little while, really, until he gets out there and proves himself.
have your sons experienced that? If so, how early and how did you walk them through that experience of like guys going, oh, that's Matt Barnes' sons? Oh, we're going to go at them and I'm going to make a name for myself by showing up the NBA players' kids?
That's why I know it's going to be tough, because I wasn't even in the same stratosphere as LeBron, and my kids started getting it at 8 years old when I retired and started coaching them. Parents cussing at them, kids going at them extra hard just because I was their father. And I think it made them the tough kids and mentally strong kids they are today. You know, we've been facing it, and I'm sure Bronny's been facing it, you know, as long as he's been playing basketball. You know, obviously NBA dads, and this is a plug because we have a hoop dads coming out that we just, did a deal for. But, you know, being the sons of NBA athletes isn't easy. I mean, obviously it comes with a lot of luxuries, but it comes with a lot of, disrespect and jealousy and hate. So, my kids started facing it at 8 or 9, and, again, I think it's toughened them up to this point. And, that's why now when they're on the big stage, they don't shy away from anything, and they're ready for everything because they've had parents and kids alike cussing and disrespecting them since they were 8, 9 years old.
Matt, I'm curious what you thought about the moves made in Philly, particularly with Paul George, because most people, it's almost like the Celtics. You weren't going to pick them until you saw them do it because of what the Celtics probably, close game situations. With this team, it's health, especially for Joel Embiid, and now I guess you could throw Paul George in that situation. But if all you're saying is, hey, they got to get lucky with health on Joel Embiid one time, isn't this kind of top of the East, like, disgusting team?
This is definitely a team right up there with the Celtics. When you look at Embiid and what he's been able to do the last, over his career, but really probably the last 3 years, the way he's been playing and putting up MVP numbers and really dragging this team as far as they got, on one leg. My biggest thing with him is obviously, just like you guys said, has always been health with Embiid, and can he play enough games during the season to, whatever, register or qualify to receive awards, but also still have something in the tank to get his thing through the playoffs. Obviously, Paul George, really happy for Paul to be able to still get that kind of money. but a unique skill set. They can do it on both sides of the ball, and someone that's definitely going to take pressure off of Embiid. And then obviously the emergence of Maxey. We can't overlook what he's been able to accomplish in his growth over the last handful of years, and putting himself as one of the top young up and coming point guards in this game. So, on paper, everything looks good on paper, and we have to see how it works on the court. But I think overall, the biggest thing for them is going to be able to maintain health amongst their two stars, or two out of their three stars, Embiid and George. And if they're able to do that, you put them right up there with the Bostons. But, obviously Boston got it over the hump this year. So, they got that experience. They've been to the finals a couple times, and they finally won it. So, I mean, again, on paper, things always look good, but until you actually get there in the playoffs, in those Eastern finals, and get over that hump to the finals and actually battle in the finals, you have no clue what it's like.
Speaking of looking good on paper, the Knicks were really excited to get Mikal Bridges, but in the process, they've also lost Isaiah Hartenstein. How much do you think is that going to hurt them, or do you think they're just overall better because Bridges fits in with the rest of the guys?
I think Bridges is a good fit for that team. Thibodeau runs guys to the ground, and Bridges has always been someone who's played high minutes. Anytime you can reunite four guys that played in college together, that's amazing. And it was a great story last year. But, as you guys mentioned, losing Hartenstein, and although his numbers didn't blow you off the page, I think he was 8 points, 7 rebounds, or 8 points, 8 rebounds. His presence, his energy, the little things he did, he was a great glue guy for that unit. And with Robinson and his injuries and knee injuries and his inability to really stay healthy, Hardenstein was a critical part to that run, his toughness, and all the other attributes he brought to that team. So although you definitely gained Mikal Bridges, who's anywhere from an 18 to 25 point a game scorer, you lost a big part of your defensive and really team identity, because that's what Hardenstein embodied.
Matt, were you at UCLA at the same time as Baron Davis?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was that like? Someone you played college with, and then years later, now y'all grown up, you're adults, you're making money, and you play together again.
I mean, I owed a lot to Baron Davis, to be honest with you. He's my career was, blowing in the wind. Obviously getting a chance to play with him at UCLA, but then I was in Sacramento in between deals. Was Clippers. Chose not to go back to the Clippers because I wanted to play for Sacramento with my big homie C Webb, and then I'm in the Webb trade that sends him to Philly. Mm-hmm. Don't get a chance to play for almost 2 years, so I'm at the end of year 4, like no real resume, nothing really going on, no teams are calling, and I'm at home in Sacramento, and Barron calls me one day, and he's down in the Bay, and he's just like, "Hey, we're gonna play pickup at the facility if you want to pull up." And I drove an hour and a half down to the Bay Area. Went out there, played really well. Didn't know that Don Nelson was up in his office watching, and that's really how I earned myself an invite to training camp and then a spot on that team. So I owe a lot to Barron, but getting a chance to play with him again in the pros, that run we had that particular year and all the injuries he was facing, that was probably the best Baron Davis I've seen, despite the injuries. And maybe in my life, that run he had going into the playoffs and in the playoffs, where every single night, no matter who we played, and that was with Dirk as MVP, Barron was the best player on the court every single night. So getting a chance to play with him again was special, and I couldn't imagine being able to add a Jerron Rush with us, or a Jerome Moise, or a Dadgett Zurich, or Earl Watson, guys I also play with the UCLA, because that college chemistry is different than the pros. It's that real homeboy, real tight friendship, and to be able to carry that into the NBA, it would have been special. So I know there's some great chemistry going on over there in New York, but again, obviously to lose Hardenstein is a tough knock, but Randall will be back, and we'll see what he's gonna do, what they're gonna do at Randall, and if they can activate him, the Knicks are going to be a very strong contender again.
I totally see what you're saying there, and I get that. And I don't remember who it was last year during the playoffs that said at some point the Knicks are going to get back to irrelevancy pretty soon for another 15 years or so. But isn't it possible? Because I watched those Villanova teams. Never once did I say, man, keep those guys together. They're winning an NBA championship, right? Like, isn't it possible that a few years from now the Knicks are going to be like, man, we really just put together this college team and thought that was going to win a championship?
I mean, they could be riding on momentum and high hopes. Obviously, Brunson's ability, I think, has shocked a lot of people, but now it's expected. He's put himself up in the upper echelon of this game. I don't know what's going on with my background. Forgive me, guys.
That looks great, actually. I love it.
You look like a saint.
Incredible. But sometimes when you play with great players, that brings the best out of you. And this is no knock on Harden and DiVincenzo, but those guys played a lot better than we had seen them play up to this point in their career. You know what I mean? And that I think that had a lot to do with Brunson and being in the flow and being comfortable and confident. So again, you bring Mikal Bridges over, and like you said, Izzy, I mean, this is not a team you would have saw in college. Like, man, if you get these four on the same team in the NBA, they're going to win a championship. But, you get these four now with the way they're playing, the confidence they're playing with, the system they're playing in. They're getting a ton of minutes, and you add some pieces around them, whether that's going to be Julius Randle or you trade Julius Randle to get some other quality pieces. I mean, those four guys can play some basketball, but as far as, just those four guys getting them over the hump into the championship, that may be a taller task than I think they're ready for. But you never know. I mean, again, everyone doubted Jalen Brunson and what he's been able to do now. So I don't really doubt him as an individual. I just think they're going to need to add some more pieces to those four guys.
How surprised were you that Clay actually left? I think we all expected it, but it still felt like a surprise when he left.
It's hard, man, because getting a chance to know Clay over the years and then playing with him and knowing how much basketball means to him and how much he loves this game and the kind of work he puts in. He's always kind of been the unsung hero it's been overshadowed for those teams. Steph is the greatest shooter of all time, but Clay's right there. Draymond was a huge defensive part of that team that held everyone together, but Clay was doing the thing on the defensive end, taking all the pressure off of Steph before Clay got healthy or hurt, guarding all the best players. You insert KD, the one guy that takes the biggest sacrifice is Clay. So I think Clay has kind of always been the unsung hero of that team. One of the greatest shooters of all time, could be arguably the best catch and shoot shooter we've ever seen. But unfortunately, injuries have played a big role, towards the end of his career, which, obviously not having him be the same player he was, it's tough, and, the whole thing last year was, is this team going to stick it out and ride it till the wheels fall off, or are they going to have to make a move? And they've decided to make a move. So you always hate to see someone like Clay go. Again, an integral piece of those four championships, one of the greatest shooters of all time, first ballot Hall of Famer. But it happens. And to be able to go to Dallas, I think, is a great situation. We all kind of thought, hey, if he leaves, he's going to go to the Lakers back home where his dad played. But I think he was still thinking basketball. And to me, the better fit is Dallas. You got two incredible guys with the ball in their hand, and they need spacing. And now that's going to open up the floor more with Clay. And it also takes the pressure of being the second scorer, because I think, with all due respect, as good as he still shoots, I think he's more of a third scorer now, but still someone that can give you 18 to 20 points a game. So I know he's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder and ready to be a big part of what Dallas has, hopes to accomplish next year. But on the flip side, Dunleavy's had a tough run up to this point, man. Dunleavy has had a tough run. I mean, for him to make the trade with Poole, to get CP, to a year later waive CP, to lose Clay. I know Warrior fans out here wondering, what the hell is going on? We miss Bob. We want Bob back.
But Bob got out. Bob did this is the thing. Everyone's like, oh man, Mike Dunleavy's not as good. I'm like, why do you think Bob left? He saw all this coming. It was on the horizon.
He saw what was coming. He didn't like his from what I heard. He didn't like his hands-on as the owners were, doing the basketball things when, that was what was Bob's job. So Bob definitely kind of saw the writing on the wall and got out at the right time. And, obviously Dunleavy, a former teammate of mine, great basketball mind, kind of got into a tough situation. But since he's been there, no matter whose fault it is, he is the guy that's making those, or allegedly making those decisions now. So again, to start off with the CP3 trade, to lose Poole, to only waive CP the next year and lose Clay, right now, it's not looking good on Dunleavy's resume. So it'll be interesting to see if they pull any moves off. You're hearing marketing, and a few Levine and other guys like that. So it'll be interesting to see what the Warriors are able to do come free agency, or before free agency is up.
Yeah, real quick, Matt. On that note, what are you intrigued by? What type of player would you be intrigued by seeing next to Steph Curry now that Clay's not his sidekick anymore?
It would be it's interesting. I really like Lauri Markkanen. I think he's a big stretch four that has improved his game year by year. Double machine that can score. So obviously, you add some size, with them and someone that can still shoot and make plays. But Steph is getting older, so my question is, who is going to be the guy that's going to be able to take some pressure, some scoring pressure off of Steph? And, I think that's the same focus and lens that Golden State is looking at now, too. They were hoping it was going to be Paul George. That didn't happen. So, you look at, the DeMar DeRozans, the Zach LaVines, the Lauri Markkanen. You got to have someone that can put the ball in the basket, because right now, if I'm not mistaken, Steph will be 36 next year, or he may be already 36. So he's still great and still has more in the tank, but he definitely is going to need some help on that scoring side of the ball.
All right, Matt. We done spent enough time talking about serious topics, real stuff happening. I want to talk about Clip. I want to talk about Clip because it's the greatest comedy on TV.
Oh, man.
Unintentional comedy.
Man.
And for those that don't know, they made a TV show about kind of Donald Sterling owning the Clippers, having to sell the Clippers because of the tapes of him saying all types of wild racist. And so they cast the show very interestingly. I would say my man Al Bundy playing Donald Sterling is doing a great job.
Yep.
Cleopatra Coleman doing V. Stiviano is doing a great job.
Great.
But then I think the budget ran, and then obviously Lawrence Fishburne as Doc. But then the budget ran out, and they said, we got to get the rest of these players. I got this roster in here. So Matt, before you talk about the show overall, how did you feel about the casting call for your character, for the guy who plays you?
Sharunas is cool. I know Sharunas. We look somewhat alike, I guess, if you're going to say. I think they got me closest to right over any other player. We're pretty much the same height, same complexion, very similar in that aspect. But you look at the other casting, and it's not even that they don't look alike or they act, or that they didn't act well. It's just look nothing like. I mean, you look at Blake's guy, like, holy. You make DeAndre this weirdo that likes lizards, and he's nothing like that, and like real philosophical deep guy, he's nothing like that. You look at Jamal and I laugh. You look at CP and I'm just like, damn, like they could have did a little better. But I think to your point, I mean, I thought they casted the main people great. I think Ed O'Neill was great for Sterling, Lawrence Fishburne for Doc, the lady that played V, and even the lady that played Shelley Sterling.
Yeah.
Those did a great job and a great job casting. But the show overall, like you said, it's been funny to me, to relive something that was, a little over 10 years old. It was entertaining, just how out of touch. I think the funniest part is how out of touch Sterling was with life. Like, he really thought that people with him loved him. He was a very sweetheart. And although I didn't have any run-ins or any issues with him, he was just very disconnected to reality. But overall, I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, the back and forth of what was said in big meetings and on the day-to-day, they didn't hit the mark on that. But again, I think, I actually consulted on this project early on. When I first started reading the first couple scripts, I'm like, and I think it was just them trying to, obviously, you got to sensationalize things and make it, fun, I guess. But again, I just think overall it was an entertaining look at, which was a very serious situation at the time.
Yeah.
And, we didn't really know what we were getting into at the time. And I was one of the main voices during that time on what we should and shouldn't do, along with the rest of the team. But, I was one of the leaders in that locker room. And when you look back now, I'm sure we all, if any of the guys saw it, we should have sat out. But at the time, it was too much unknown. We didn't know, we sit out one game? Do we sit out two games? Do we sit out the whole series? And keep in mind, we felt like we had a team that could win a championship that year.
Right.
We were one of the best teams in the league during that time. And this is right before Golden State's rise to, the start of their dynasty run. We were the last team to beat them before they went on their dynasty run. So we knew our window was closing because we had a young, very talented Golden State team behind us. So I think there was too much unknown for us to really, really make a huge statement. And again, it was such a spur of the moment. It wasn't like we had time to think about it. This is in between games. It happens, you know what I mean? So It's just like we came together. We thought of a little BS plan. We knocked it out because at the end of the day, as one thing they portray, we were never playing for Mr. Sterling. We were playing for everyone in that locker room and our family and our fans.
I have so many follow-up questions, but going off of what you just said, what in the last 10 years has made you change your mind about we should have sat out?
Just getting kind of grasping, the magnitude, I think, of the event and things that have come since then that have been big, that people have kind of had some time to react and think and really, have a well thought out plan. Again, this happens in between games. You know what I mean? Like we really don't. We have 2 days to make a decision that's going to be, that's going to be remembered for the rest of our lives. So I just think understanding the magnitude of what's gone on since, and still, I really don't know what would have happened though if we would have sat out. I mean, do we forfeit those games? You know what I mean? Does Golden State sit out? Is it a win for Golden State? Like I said, there was two, and you got to think Sterling wasn't banned until we got to the second round. So we sit out all those games and just say forget the season and let Golden State go on and play OKC. So again, I just think the uncertainty kind of left us puzzled, and we had to make a really quick decision.
So the lizard thing was completely made up because that was one of those details that I'm like, surely this is based in reality. Why would they just add
They kept
a
going
lizard
back
to
to
the
it. Like they
play?
kept having him over and over again, stroking the lizard.
The lizard, the braids.
Hey, yo.
Like me and DJ were like literally laughing, and it's like he's like, I was like, was I high the whole time? I don't remember you have braids. Like, Matt, I didn't have braids at all. You know what I mean? So they had the braids and the lizard. They just made DJ weird, and DJ was probably one of the coolest, down to earth, laughing, joking. Obviously, you guys caught a glimpse of such a serious time, but that team had so much fun, like so much fun. And it was weird because we would have so much fun, but still had chemistry issues, which is crazy because we would all get along, mess around, have a good time, dinners, kids' birthday parties, hang out on and off the court, but we still had chemistry issues. But DJ in particular, I think they portrayed him probably the worst because it was nothing like who he was.
Oh, I'll tell you who the worst was physically.
Blake.
Yes,
Yeah,
it has to be.
I'll tell you why Blake was the worst. Was not only because he don't look like Blake, but also he doesn't act like Blake. Like I thought for sure, if you're gonna cast someone to be Blake, he's gotta have that kind of funny asshole quality. And
Charismatic.
This dude wasn't funny at all. He was just kind of whiny, and I'm like, that's not really Blake.
Yeah, I think obviously Blake. I think they missed the ball on those two the most. They made CP really serious. But yeah, I would agree. I mean, Blake. If you don't know Blake, I mean, on the outside looking in, people might think that's how Blake really was: stiff, uptight, no personality. But Blake is a comedic genius. He's hilarious. He talks shit in the locker.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.